Everyone, I wanted to give you a quick breakdown on how to evaluate some sources. Now, this is assuming that you have already located your sources. So if you are still looking or if you've entered keywords and you're striking out, please get in touch with me or use the library website so that you can find those sources. If you don't have them yet, you might want to come back to this at a later time. And of course, the sources that we're talking about are related to your final essay. So that is where we are starting, kind of looking ahead to that essay that's coming up. So the first type of sources to make your work simpler are the ones that we know are already peer-reviewed. So things that appear on our library site or things that are published by universities. And you can find this information by looking at the publisher or looking at sites that end in edu. The nice thing about the library sites, the journals and things, is they will usually have a citation that you can copy over into your references page as well. A rundown on just where to look. If you have looked through the library sources and those are not working for you, you might want to branch out into an internet search, and you may want to look at sources that end in .org or .gov, but you do want to be aware of stakeholders. So who has a stake in this information? Who benefits from this information being out there? It's important to ask yourself that question. We can also look at Google Scholar, and you can search inside books using our library site, as I've already mentioned, but also Google Books or Amazon. We typically don't need large paragraphs for a quote, so sometimes using Google Books or Amazon, you'll be able to get enough of the information to cite that text. A note on search engines, just be aware that they are paid to include some results first. It's not a coincidence that some things pop up first or more often. So don't just click the first link and stop your search there. We'll talk more about that in a moment. So let's assume for this exercise that you have found a source, and if you want to practice along with me, open your browser and put in some keywords for something, pull up a source, and we can kind of practice together. These are some questions to ask yourself before you decide to cite information and include the source on your references page. So is the information timely? So is it current? When was it published? Now, depending on your topic, sometimes an older source is okay. So generally speaking, historical information is not going to change. So if I'm writing about World War II, my source does not necessarily have to be from this year. However, if I'm writing about a more current topic like the job market or climate change, I want the most current information that I can find. Ask yourself if the information is relevant. So does it really relate to your topic, or does it give the opposite view of your topic to show that you have joined the conversation? Who is this information written for? Is it the appropriate level, so not too easy or too difficult? And sometimes I tell students it's fine to use things like podcasts, or YouTube on occasion will have scholarly information, but you do want to see who's producing it. So if the YouTube video you're looking at is for Mrs. Smith's 5th grade class, it probably doesn't fit in a college level research paper. And again, have you looked at multiple sources before choosing this one? You don't want to just pick the very first thing. Is the source credible? So who wrote it? What do we know about them? Generally speaking, news sites, journals are going to have a little bio for the author. So check them out. Have they written about this before? Who is the sponsor or the publisher, and what are the author's qualifications? Do they really have something to say about this? So if you think about some of the voices that are in the media, do I really want to listen to a singer or an actress when it comes to something like politics? I probably want someone that has more qualifications. A few more questions to ask yourself for those sources. And again, you can save yourself a lot of time if you just ask these questions before you put the source in the paper. So, is the information reliable? Where does it come from? Do they use support? So, are they citing things? Are they demonstrating evidence? Has the source been peer reviewed? Does it seem like it's free of bias and neutral? And believe it or not, you ask yourself these questions all the time. You just might not do it as consciously as you will for your research paper because we are hit with information all the time in the form of advertisements, in the form of news, web articles, and we have to decide, is this a reliable source? Should I listen to this? And of course, the internet is full of people creating headlines to try to get you to click on things. So you have to really hone that skill to say, is there a reason that they're scaring someone about this, right? Is the information necessary? So why was this produced? Why was it put out into the world? There are all sorts of sites that are just made for entertainment, right? Things like BuzzFeed, all the listicles that are out there on the internet. So, what is the purpose here? Is it entertaining? Is it educating, persuading? Is it trying to sell you something? Do the authors tell you their purpose up front? And are we looking at facts or propaganda or opinions? Because we don't want to use propaganda or opinions in our research paper. And finally, are there biases? So things that can tilt the writer's perspective in a particular way. So is there cultural, religious, political, institutional, or personal information we can find about this person that is likely to make them support one side over another? We all have biases in various ways. The trick is to conquer them when we want to present information. All right, thanks for spending some time with me today with this little mini lecture. I just thought this was the best way to go through the information. So if you have found your sources and you've asked your questions and you're still not sure what to do, or if you've entered keywords and nothing is coming up, some great resources, of course, are Writing Center and our library, and you can get to those directly from our course page. You do want to tell the tutor or the librarian, if there's someone that you're working with, you want to give them as much information about the assignment as possible. So this is an English class, this is the paper, this is what we're looking for, because that's going to help them find the best sources for you. You can also send sources to me. So if you found something, you really want to use it, but you're not sure that it's the right thing for you, send it my way and we can talk about it together and give you some strategies to decide, yes, this is something I want to use, or maybe not, where do I look next? Again, thanks for your time and please send me any questions.